here, Dean, with you, as well as I think this is the first time we've ever had this threesome, if not mistaken. Between the three of us, we don't want to embarrass anybody. $3 million winning days. Myself, Bobby Gomes, and Head Chopper as well. Chop, is this the first time we've ever had this this combination? Usually it's Kirkwood, but Kirkwood is he's on the late show. He's on the crunch time. I feel like we haven't had this before. Maybe I forgot and blocked it out.
I know I've done a show with Bobby before. I don't know if you were on it though, Dean.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Bobby job as well. I think you were on it, Dean. I think your memory is getting away from you in your old age.
Yeah, maybe I just blocked it out. I don't know. You guys probably were mean to me and ganged up on me, and I just I just want to forget that it ever happened. I suppose that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe you do this 5 days a week. You just sort of forget. They all kind of blend together. But it felt like a fresh combination to me. But I guess it's not. I meant to ask that pre-show, but all right. I guess we're going to run it back. It was so good the first time. We're running it back. Y'all got us for an hour and 15 minutes till we hand it off to the Crunch Time crew. You got Chris Kirkwood, a.k.a. Kid Yahoo Kirkwood, as well as, oh, boy, who is he going to be paired with? I don't know who else is there, but I would imagine it's Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, who we absolutely need him today when it comes to Kansas City, Chicago. He's currently got that. I believe it's orange-yellow. I'll go ahead and double-check. I'll drop that link in chat for the people. Let's see. We got Chopper. We have Bobby. I'm looking at the email now. Oh, Dave Potts. Yeah, Potts and Kirkwood, as well as man. So we have 5 individual $1 million winning days between the 5 of us. The 6 of us. We include Roth as well. Don't want to leave Roth out. Just drop that link in chat for the people. There you go. Feel free to check out the weather. Like I said, we have orange yellow currently in Kansas City, Chicago at KC. Looks like yellow in Minnesota. I believe it was yellow orange earlier, so it looks like it's been downgraded a little bit. Otherwise, precipitation wise, we should be clean. We should be good to go. Chopper, how's Tuesday treating you? What's on your brain? Anything that you want to start us off with? You want to dive right in and break down some baseball? We could do that as well, but you always said to have an anecdote before we get going.
Yeah, it's a pretty good day so far, I guess. It's kind of rainy out here, so I'm hoping everything holds up well with the internet, Dean. But before we do get cranked up with some baseball, which we will do in a minute, I do have a slight bone to pick there with Mr. Gomes, man. With Mr. Gomes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, go for it.
I know. I'm trying to pull up the tweet right now real quick, but I can paraphrase it, Dean. I can paraphrase it. It said something like, "Oh no, another Fast and Furious movie for the mouth breathers," something along those lines. I have to say, I'm very disappointed. I'm a huge Fast and Furious guy, so it took a lot of willpower not to respond to that.
You're a mouth breather, is what you're saying.
That's what Gomes claims. I'm certainly not a mouth breather. I'm all about the family, and that's a family movie right there.
They've made like 30 of them at this point. How does it get your attention? What sticks out for you? It's pretty much the same thing every time.
It's the actors are good, and I find the actors entertaining, and it's just family, man. It's Vin Diesel, like it's family. I don't know, man.
That's the most cheesy bring together that they use. I think in their movie is the family.
Fantastic. I gotta love it, man. But I get it's not for everybody, but certainly.
I really liked the first one, with Paul Walker. Like that was a classic. They lost me at Tokyo Drift.
See now, yeah, Tokyo Drift was just but then it took a few, and then they get back into the groove where they get Vin back and the crew's back together, and then when they brought in Ludacris and Tyrese and those boys, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, that's Tyrese is the second one, right? I think. But
then they made him part of the family, so then he was back for the really good ones after that. He's the comedy. He's that guy. He brings the comedy to him.
I'm sorry for your Fast and the Furious takes, Chubb.
That's okay. That's all right, Bobby. Dean, what you got, Dean?
Well, I just like how I think the franchise started as we're just going to race cars in the street, and now they're taking spoilers. They're dropping cars out of airplanes. They're flying out of buildings into another building via car. They've really amped it up. I just wanted to test your fandom. the Fast and the Furious. I think they're in 10 films now at this point. I think the next one's called X, right? Can you run off like start to finish the names, the titles of the Fast and the Furious franchise? Can you do it off the dome or no?
I think the first one was the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And then there was Tokyo Drift. And then
no.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was 3. They took the D out of one of them. So it was just Fast and Furious or something like that. And Tokyo Drift. I know you had the one in Brazil. No, I can't name them. But I've seen them all for sure.
The second one was Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, there you go. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Tokyo Drift was the third one. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Fast and Furious was the fourth one. And the fifth one, it's in the name. Come on, the fifth one, it's Fast 5.
Fast 5, and that was in Brazil when they stole the drug dealers' money out the police station. Okay.
Is The Rock in that one or no?
I want to say that one might have introduced The Rock. Maybe.
And allegedly The Rock and Vin Diesel didn't get along, and they had to have like written their contract like they couldn't be seen like getting hit by the other one too hard. Are you aware of this technicality stuff?
I do know that there was some beef between them on set. Yeah.
Yeah, but you said it's about family, but it turns out they don't seem to see each other as family, at least offset.
You're confusing offset with on screen. Nobody's walking around thinking the dude is a real high school drug dealing teacher and breaking. It's just a role, man. It doesn't really do that in real life.
Walter White was not based on a real person, is what you're saying? My mind.
Come on, Dean.
Yeah. Spoilers here, Chop. Some people have not seen Breaking Bad just yet. I'm not going to go. Your boy Big T besmirching Succession is outrageous on the Twitter. Maybe you just don't have the patience for a slow burn like Succession. I don't know. Maybe close the laptop and actually just watch the show. Give it 100% of your attention as opposed to, the way people watch the Fast and the Furious with kind of one eye on your DFS lineups, the other eye on the screen, like watching things blow up. But I won't stand for it. I assume me and Bobby will agree on this. The Succession hate on Twitter. Come on.
I haven't been on Twitter a ton the last week. Why? T had some Succession hate.
Even your boy Kirkwood, Succession is overrated according to the chat.
No way. Oh,
yeah,
that's not a good take.
Terrible take.
Kirkdiese better.
Kirkwood.
Wow, he goes a step further. He says the show kind of stinks.
Yeah, that's pathetic. Honestly, it's a terrible. I respect Kirkwood. He usually has a good opinion on things. This is a terrible opinion. It's a terrible take. We will yell at him in an hour and 5 minutes or so, I suppose.
I just invited Kirkwood to my kid's birthday. I might have to rescind the invite after that take.
Yeah, it's Succession-themed birthday, just to kind of rub it in his face. But, that's outrageous. That is grounds for rescinding the invite. I would back you up on that one as well. Family or not. If it's about family, but that take is so horrific. What is our take, Bobby, as far as today's slate? We have Shohei Ohtani. We have some good offenses. Nothing absolutely like just jumping off the page that's spectacular. No cores, no 6 totals. We have Aaron Judge back for the Yankees. The Yankees are going to be pretty popular. He makes that lineup obviously look significantly better on FanDuel. His price is really, really appealing at 3.9 or so. He's in the 6s, appropriately priced on DK. There's a lot of cheap pitchers along the way. If you don't want to get up to Ohtani, we have for the Yankees. Speaking of the Yankees, good matchup obviously against Oakland and Clark Schmidt. You got the 2 last names there. He's pretty cheap, $6K on DK. The rookie for Arizona. We have a lot of options. Just general screenshot, general view as far as it's like the 30,000-foot view, if you will. Bobby, what are you looking at as far as today's baseball slate?
Yeah, so I think it's a good slate. Obviously, you have these cheap pitchers, and then you have Ohtani up top. Offense kind of gets spread out on slates like this, especially 10-gamers. So I'm not really, in terms of like individual bats and trying to fade stuff, I'm not going too crazy. I think there's some good game stack spots, Boston and Atlanta, Dodgers and Milwaukee, 2 just off the top of my head. Where I'm trying to get different is trying to figure out like which pitchers I'm going to be overweight on and which pitchers I'm going to be underweight on or fading. I think that's where you're going to make your bread on the slate.
Have you figured it out? Or you're still kind of wondering where their field's going to land, and you haven't quite settled.
I think Schmidt's going to be the chalk with his K prop like around 6.5. It's kind of up near Ohtani's. In terms of that being the case, like this is going to sound terrible, but I kind of like Corbin a little bit at 5'8", right underneath him with a lot less ownership. but he's not that I'm trying to throw all my bullets at Patrick Corbin, or that I'm fading Schmidt. I'm definitely playing Schmidt. I'm just trying to find ways to get different with some of these lower end pitching guys. That Pratt kid from Arizona, like him. I think there's a couple spots.
Chop, I wanted to get your. How did you? I know you do your research, Chop, and you're all over pronunciations, and you've never botched one before in the history of the show for sure. What is the name of the pitcher? The stud pitcher here for Arizona. He's 4.5K on DK facing the Marlins. Do we know this kid's name? He got his face fully punched in his MLB debut, but he's the biggest prospect, one of the biggest prospects from an arm perspective in baseball. He's going to be pretty popular, 17% right now currently, according to our projections. And I'm going to be over that. And on Fanduel, you get him at 5.8 if you want to really load up in the bats over there. Do you know what's this kid's name here, Chopper?
It's Pafat. Right?
It's actually, I couldn't believe the pronunciation. The way I read it, and the way I saw it is fought, like the word fought, like fight, but fought.
He must be English.
I don't know what his origin is, but yeah, I thought that was that kind of threw me off. I'm like, fought, okay, and that like phonetically, just the word fought. Yeah, I would not have got there either. I was with you basically. Is the P silent? But yeah, so it's Brandon Fought. Your thoughts as far as Fought today, especially on DKs and SP2, looks pretty appealing, and he makes it super easy to even pair him with Shohei Ohtani, and you still got plenty of bats. We have George Kirby, who's just a fabulous pitcher, doesn't walk anybody, doesn't strike out enough either, but spectacular pitcher. Logan Webb, always ground balls, protected by that ballpark as well. Of course, he's facing a Petrie Washington lineup. The tricky part with Washington is they do not strike out a ton. They ground out, they pop out, they fly out. They don't do much else. But Logan Webb is awesome. The QS feels like it's on layaway, the old quality start, which is useful on FanDuel. But curious here, Chop, your official take as far as the slate. We'll talk about pitchers first, obviously. Then we'll jump on over to the stacks. But where are you at? What's popping for you?
Well, I see Kirkdiese is in chat stirring the pot a little bit, talking about the old joke that TJ was making the other day. He's just stirring. Kirky just can't help himself, man. He just can't. He's got to stir the pot, man. But I think it's do the show. I don't like to do a lot of stuff right after the show, so I don't have enough time. So I'm only making one on DK. This today, Dean, seems to me like I may be going cheaper at pitcher with one lineup. I don't. Some of the guys at the top, I kind of don't believe in. I mean, I know Ohtani's good and he can always have a big game, right? But it's super expensive on DraftKings. It's the Astros. I know they're actually not particularly good this year right now at all with the injuries, but I don't know. And then Kirby, I don't believe in as much. Texas is really good. So, I'm not super big fan of him. And then after that, I think there's a drop off. I do like Logan Webb. So I'm on that train, but then we start getting into guys I kind of don't want to mess around with. So I may be going with the super cheap guy. It's $4,500 Pafat on DraftKings as my SP2, man. I'm feeling cheaper pitching today, Dean, is my general, and spend up at some bats because there's some really good hitting opportunities tonight.
Who was that pitcher facing your Astros again? You were talking about what's the dude's name?
I'm going to guess a Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Am I wrong again, D? You get I know this. This is if a guy thinks that the Fast and Furious is a little bit overkill, you and me you pressuring me to do Tony's name is really overkill, Dean.
To be fair, I'm kind of on your side of the Fast and the Furious. Like it's ridiculous and it's absurd and it's silly and it's nonsense, but you bought the ticket and that's what you signed up for. You know what you're getting. You're not expecting Casablanca. You want nonsense and ridiculous things and stuff to blow up.
Now you're talking. I'm
actually on your side.
There you go. Good job. Also, Dean, I'm just seeing in chat, Herbert drops something here. He says, TJ hates Chop. Man, what did I do to TJ that he hates me now?
He doesn't hate you.
Herbert said so. If Herbert said it, I kind of believe it. Man.
He's a stir in the pot. Herbert is.
Herbert's pulling a Kirky? He's stirring.
He's a part of the Kirkwood coaching tree.
Oh, pretty shit. Sure. Oh, there you go. All right, those guys are buddies. Well, then
I think they're buddies.
Sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, they're just stirring stuff up. Yeah, just for funsies, I suppose. But you're going to go double cheap as far as pitcher chop if you're making one lineup on DK?
Okay. Right now, the way I sit right now, I think my other pitcher is going to be between. I mentioned Logan Webb. I do kind of like Logan Webb in this matchup tonight, but it's either him or I'm thinking about living a little crazy here. I kind of like Giolito tonight, so that might be the second option right there. I don't mind the matchup, and he's actually been as good as almost anybody on this slate tonight this year, as consistency wise. So I don't mind Giolito.
Let's see. Giolito on the season, we're looking at 23.6% as far as Ks. The walks have been in check, 5.2%. Too many fly balls, 48% fly balls. ERA wise, a little bit lower than a Sierra. Sierra 4.05. It's been lucky as far as home run the fly balls. Home run the fly balls is 8.6%. It is worth noting. We kind of talked about that game. It's a straight orange. Man, has this changed? I believe this changed. Did Roth just update this?
It did change. It was yellow-orange originally.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay, cancel that then.
Bobby, what do we think here? I guess we're just kind of in a holding pattern, right? I want to see what Roth has to say. At this point, if I'm playing Chicago or Kansas City, like I'm just playing stacks or nothing. I think it's a spot where there's no reason to mess with one-offs. But obviously, we got Roth coming out about an hour or so to give some clarity. Is that your thought process as well here, Bobby, when it comes to this game? Straight orange is somewhat concerning, and I'll go ahead and just read this. It's not very long. The top portion of a very nasty storm system is going to clip KC tonight, and it's not going to be in a hurry to clear. It's either a very, very – that's two varies. That's either a very, very long late start, 2 to 3 hours, maybe more, or a postpone. I don't see any of their options. So that is not very positive. That's not a very positive update, Bobby. And again, we'll see what Roth has to say. He'll get more clarity. The closer we get to lock, the more information we have. But right now, I think I'm basically crossing that game out. Well, what do you think here, Bobby?
Yeah, so that kind of stinks. I think it was a pretty sharp call to play Giolito just because the majority of people would be going to Fat or Schmidt on the low end, and then they're like just thinking about where the cash game optimal is going. It looks like it's going to be either Kirby or Webb. So like that 8K range was going to get lost in translation, I would say. And Giolito obviously has the upside, so that's unfortunate we can't play some Giolito. If I had a ranked pitcher, it'd probably be Logan Webb would probably be my favorite, followed by Ohtani, then Kirby, then Fat, then Schmidt, I guess. I think that's how I would rank them, my top four. Is there anyone else?
Heaney's interesting for tournaments just because he has the upside for strikeouts, but also he gives a lot of fly balls, a lot of homers. But if homer to fly ball variance is on his side, I think he's interesting. Yeah, but not my favorite. I'm probably more willing to play Seattle against him than roster Heaney. But if I'm running a bunch of lineups, how many lineups are you running today, Bobby?
I think I'm running 8.
Okay, so I don't think you have to necessarily do either per se. You think Haney's going to crack one of those 8? Maybe, possibly, but probably not.
I like Mariners stacks against Haney, particularly Suarez and Teoscar. They were pretty popular last night. And they didn't get it done, obviously. I think the score was like 2-1 heading into the 9th before I passed out. Don't know what the final score was, but I wouldn't mind like getting to some Seattle when I think a lot of people are going to be gravitating towards the Braves, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, San Francisco. For me, I think Seattle's like interesting and sneaky on the slate.
Yeah, and the Yankees are going to be pretty appealing as well too. With Judge being back and facing Oakland, but you basically hit a lot of the popular offenses. This year, Heaney's given up 2.15 homers per 9. The homer to fly ball 19.4%. A lot of fly balls, 46% fly balls. So, certainly he will serve them up, but his K rate's pretty good too, 24.4%. Walks too many guys as well, 11% walk rate, one of the highest walk rates on this slate. Our consensus rankings for what it's worth, DK wise, myself, Kirkwood will be on the show. Dave Potts will be on the show as well. Mr. Tuttle. Hey, shout out Mr. Tuttle. I saw DB had to tweet it out. Apparently Tuttle, he's too modest. He won 6 figures, and I think it was it basketball or baseball? I don't recall. over the weekend.
I think it was baseball.
Baseball. He took down something, 6 figures, maybe the $15 on DK or something like that. I don't know what it was exactly, but shout out to Tuttle, taking home $100K. Ohtani is our number one ranked pitcher. This is considering salary as well, all things considered. Webb number 2, Kirby number 3, Schmidt number 4, Brandon Pfaadt, Heaney, Giolito, Framber Valdez, man, he's just amazing, right, Chop? He's just the classic, better in real life than he is in DFS. He's kind of expensive. The matchup's not great. All of his ground balls are just spectacular. What is his ground ball rate for the season now? Let me see if I have them all sort of ranked. Is it like it's still in the 60s, right? 65%, Chop. That's insane. And his quality start record last year, we talked about that one, 23 straight quality starts. He's just kind of expensive, but he's too expensive. I guess he can go 6 or 7 clean. He can get you that way, but I like Valdez. I'm not picking on him necessarily, Chop, but I don't think I'm getting to him as far as rostering him. What's your take?
I'm not going to be rostering him on DraftKings. He might end up on a Fanduel team or so, just because I got a lot of them. So he might end up, but I'm not in love with it. But I look at the Angels and I see a lot of guys in the lineup who theoretically, against left-handers could be pretty good, and I kind of don't want to mess around with that. But then I look at him against the Angels. He's had some success in his career. I don't know. It could go either way. He could put up a 30 spot on DraftKings, or he could do his typical 15 to 20 spot. He's really consistent, though. I mean, if you want consistency, he definitely got that working for him. But I'm probably more apt to not roster him than to load up on Framber tonight.
All right, the chat's telling me, I did see this earlier as well. We have one extreme pitcher's umpire. It's Bill Miller. Once upon a time, Derek Carty called Bill Miller the Mike Trout of pitcher's umpires. He's the pitcher's umpire for George Kirby and Andrew Heaney, for what it's worth. Does that change the needle for us at all? Like, it breaks the ties. It's nice to see. I don't think I absolutely need it. I'll take it. It's slight hit, incremental, Bobby. But Kirby, Heaney, how much do we care about getting that umpire?
It makes me a little more wary about Seattle. Obviously, I think if you're debating Kirby and Webb in cash games, I think Kirby's kind of the guy I'm going to lean towards with the $400 savings in the EP. But yeah, I do think it. Like you talked about Heaney and like the variance of his range of outcomes. I think you can definitely consider Heaney more now, or I'm going to have to consider more than I was currently considering him prior to the Bill Miller news. I had read the Bill Miller thing too. I just totally kind of slipped my mind.
Where can I bet? I know some places you can bet walks. I want to bet like George Kirby, no walks, because he's got Bill Miller behind the plate, and his walk rate this season, his walk percentage is 2%. So, I mean, I guess he can walk a guy, but I know there's some places you can do this. You can bet walks and things like that, but maybe bet under on whatever Kirby's walk number is, especially if it's like 1.5 or if it's 1. Maybe a push, worst case scenario. There you go. Is that something we can bet, Chop? Is that something do you know a guy? Where do you got to go to find that kind of bet?
Dean, I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy. You should be addressing Bobby does the sports betting down there in his neck of the woods. I'll never get sports betting here.
Well, never. I thought it was discussed. I guess it was already killed there. That's already another thing there.
I don't never do it, Dean. Especially now that you're getting all these dang college teams having these things.
College baseball.
Yeah, the college baseball scandals going on. They'll never do it now, man. They better be careful with all that, Dean. They might just rescind all the sports betting if that keeps up.
You got anything there, Bobby? As far as would you know a book that where you can bet walks or no? Probably not. I think I've seen
probably not. Most street books aren't taking props, right? I would imagine it's pretty much straight game lines for major sports.
Hey, Chop, we're talking DK. Let's talk about FanDuel real quick. Earl wants to know the best FanDuel pitcher for tournaments, for stacks. Ohtani's a little trickier to make work over there. You certainly can if you want to. You don't have the SB2 to kind of soften it up. Just kind of building lineups. He's 1.1 more expensive than Logan Webb. Otani's 11.6. Webb is 10.5. Kirby 9.9. Fouts is 5.8. I don't know how necessary he is, but you can really make a fun lineup over there with Fought and just kind of load up on all the hitters you want. You have a favorite pitcher, Chop, just to make a one lineup on FanDuel? Have you landed on who it is?
If I was making one lineup on FanDuel, I would say on FanDuel you don't play around with it. It's Logan Webb for me. Like, you don't play around. You got one crack at it, and you don't need the salary savings because you can get plenty of good hitters that are underpriced. I don't think you play around with it. So the 5.8 that you're talking about is very tempting, but I think I'm more apt to just hang out with Logan Webb, and I think at this point he's my favorite pitcher on the slate, period. So I'm not gonna mess around on FanDuel and do anything too crazy.
Hey, Chop, your boy Kirkwood in chat says, fun fact, I don't know if it's a Chop fact or not. You can confirm or deny. He says Chop is a big Magic Mike fan. Is that, can we confirm? Have you seen Magic Mike's Last Dance?
I've seen it, and I will confirm. I love me some Magic Mike movies now, man. I like to be Dean, unlike you and your musicals and your artsy fartsy stuff that gets nominated for the awards. I like to be entertained when I go to the theater or when I sit down with some popcorn at the home and I want to watch a movie. So Magic Mike is entertaining, man. So yeah,
I've seen the original Magic Mike. I've not seen The Last Dance.
Dean's a big Pitch Perfect guy.
Pitch Perfect. Dean likes Pitch Perfect.
Dean likes.
I have not seen Pitch Perfect for the record, but that Anaconda, she's delightful. But I've not seen Pitch Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure it's spectacular for that. And I've not seen La La Land. Like, you can run them down. I'm not a musical person. I don't know why Chop wants to frame me that way. And it's fine if that's what you like, but I don't really, it's weird. I never felt the need in the middle of a conversation to sing my point, and it just kind of takes me out of it, like when other people do it. But that's just me. I like to be entertained as well, Chop. Like, why would you make that assumption? Who doesn't like to be entertained besides Tim? Tim hates fun. I'm not sure if you've been watching the shows, but Tim is anti-fun. But yeah. Anything else here as far as let's say Webb or Kirby? It's pretty straightforward, like the guys that are in the bucket, the guys that are not in the bucket. Oh, we should mention, by the way, as far as pitchers, umpires, there are some hitters umpires too. Otani's got a hitters umpire. Framber Valdez is a hitters umpire. Louis Varland and Michael Wacha as well with the hitters umpire. And it kind of goes both ways here, Bobby, right? Look, I'm not going to not play Otani because he's got a hitters umpire, but whatever. Noted, I guess. But it's still Shohei Otani. Shohei Otani has the biggest K rate on this slate by 9% over the next guy. And that's if you the next guy, you're going to give it to Louis Varland, and that's a small sample size, right? He's probably not going to keep that up at 30%. Jamison Tyon, a small sample size, 27%. Then we finally get to a legit number. Logan Webb at 27%. Otani this season, 38.6%. That is a distinct difference as far as K upside. So I guess I don't care. I prefer it wasn't the case, but that's what it is. You're not running away, Bobby. Tell me if you are. If you want Otani, you're playing him, and that's that. Not because you're not going to cross him out for the reason of he's got a hitter's umpire. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not crossing Otani out, but it's definitely noted, like you said, just with the ceiling and K upside on DK for Otani, he's really got a tough guy to just cross out, right? Yeah, definitely noted. I do like Otani. Logan Webb's my guy though, 9.5. I'm gonna be trying to jam as much Logan Webb as possible.
Does it bother you that Washington is not very good at striking out? They're bad at a lot of things, but they do make contact. Does that concern you?
I get what you're saying. The ceiling isn't there relative to a Kirby, or I'm definitely going to be overweight on Kirby too, but I feel like I'm going to have slightly more Webb. Yeah, and then basically trying to get overweight on Otani, fat. Schmidt's the guy I'm trying to make a decision on because I feel like Oakland, they suck. Can we say that on stream? That might not be the best thing to say.
Sorry, you said it. It's factually correct. I mean, you can't.
They're very bad. So for me, I don't want to play any Oakland, but Rooker, Ruiz, these guys, I don't know, 33%. Clark Schmidt, I know he's supposed to be a good prospect. Just tougher to he'd be the guy that I'd be trying to get away from a little bit.
What's the ownership difference between Fott and Schmidt? I feel like it's somewhat similar, right? I want to see if it's changed. I'm doing a little refresh. Last time we got a batch of ownership as 520 in the East Coast, so we probably got something different than what I had before. This is DK, 34% Ohtani, 31% Webb, 28% Kirby. So Schmidt, 26%, 1.5K more than Fott. Fott's getting 17%, Heaney 15, Giolito 10. That could change if it gets really, really dicey weather-wise. Flaherty's getting 8%. I'm not playing Flaherty. Frambar's getting 6. Probably not playing him. Luzardo's getting 5 or 6. Luzardo's pretty good, but I don't know if I want to roll him out today. He's kind of pricey as well. I did see somebody say the roof is closed. Do we have confirmation of that? The roof being closed in Arizona? Anybody know? Must be scalding in Arizona. They love opening the roof up.
I think it's open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So either way, ideally, if you're pitching, you want the roof to be closed there. Okay. Chop, anything else as far as pitchers that we should mention?
Any Corbin love, Chop?
Any who?
Corbin.
No, man, you're on Corbin Island with that one. I'm gonna pass on that one, but I think we covered the guys I like. I would also say that now that we've pulled up the umpire numbers and we see the umpire in Houston game, yeah, that kind of steers me away from Framber even more. He's a peculiar guy anyway, very mercurial on the mound, and I would prefer to stay away from like an umpire that could squeeze him and get into his head.
What about Luzardo down at 8-8?
You know what? I don't know if I'm going to play him tonight because Arizona's kind of tough, but I like his talent, man. At some point, he's going to be really good. He's one of those guys that, like, if your favorite team trades for him and you actually know what's happening in baseball, you'd be pretty excited to see if they could, get him on the right path because he's got some really good stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to play him tonight, but I do like the arm talent there.
Yeah, he definitely has some good K stuff. I like Luzardo a little bit.
Just pulling up the lineup for Arizona, how K-happy they may be. It's pretty contact heavy up top, yeah. Outside of Fletcher, small sample in the bottom, just 8 at-bats, so who knows how real it is, 37% as far as striking out. That's 3 strikeouts, 3 of 8 at-bats versus lefties dating back to last season. 19.5% collectively as far as striking out versus lefties. Not the best matchup necessarily for Luzardo from a strikeout perspective. And there is some power, plenty of power from Walker, Marte, Rivera that's showing a fair bit of power as well versus lefties. Corbin Carroll, they put him lower in the order, obviously left on left. They got him in the 6 hole. Yeah, I mean, Luzardo is probably not something I'm actively picking on. I like his arm talent as well. 28.7% Ks dating back to last season, really strong. Miami, man, one thing Miami does good, they do develop their pitchers. Yuri Perez, like 19 or 20 years old. If you're in like a dynasty league, I don't know when he's going to come up. That dude looks electric. He's going to be one of the top pitching prospects in baseball if he's not already. But he's a Marlin, so who knows how long he'll stick around. Let's see. Yeah, they're talking about they're asking about Luzardo right now. We just had that conversation. Anything else of notes here, Bobby, that we should talk about as far as pitchers? Anybody why do you like Corbin, by the way? You mentioned him a couple times.
They've struggled they've struggled versus lefties. Obviously, they got Haniger back. Corbin was good his last start. Like, they've just been so bad versus lefties. I feel like you can take a shot based on like where he's priced at, and no one wants to play Corbin. Like, we all have the same sentiment around Corbin. He's been absolutely atrocious. Has 2 pitches. Like, no one wants to play him, but he's going to be so low owned relative to Schmidt, who's right above him in terms of price tag.
It's funny you say Schmidt because we just got the Giants lineup, and there's a person named Schmidt playing for them. Do I know who Schmidt is on the Giants? Slater, Estrada, Haniger, Davis, Flores, VR, Schmidt, Bart, Wisely. I believe that's at least 8 righties, and whatever Schmidt is. Who's Schmidt, the shortstop? Obviously, Crawford's hurt. But, yeah, a person named Schmidt is playing shortstop for the Giants tonight.
He's a righty.
You know anything else about him?
Yeah. He's this is his debut, right?
I don't know. This is the first time I've seen his name.
Yeah,
so.
he's 24. He's on his way to the majors. He had 313 with a homer in the minors this year in 32 games. He's mostly played third base, but I guess he's going to play a little shortstop tonight with Crawford sideline.
What's his first name?
Casey
Schmidt. All right. Is he in the player pool? Probably not, right?
I think he's min salary on DraftKings, yeah. I mean,
third baseman.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's the weirdest one, by the way, because we're not talking hitters yet. We will in a second, but I really don't know what to do with this. Last night, loved the Giants last night. Love the Giants. You have a starter that's a righty that's not very good. Now, it didn't work out. They had some balls to the warning track. They hit like 4 double plays, which is just miserable. You did get a Jock Peterson homer, but that entire bullpen for Washington is all right-handed. San Francisco led the league or broke the record last year as far as pinch hits, having 95 more pinch hits than anybody else in the second most team as far as pinch hits. We know they love their pinch hitters. When Corbin comes out, a righty's going to come in. And they have Peterson and Conforto, and I'm sure there's somebody, Wade, lurking in that bench. I have no idea how to handle picking on Corbin is what I'm saying, because I'm just afraid that 3 or 4 of those guys might just get kicked out of the game when the opportunity comes up. Chop, you have a thought on that as far as the Giants? Like, I don't know if you have to have the Giants, but we like picking on Corbin. When he's off, it can be really, really ugly, obviously. You can serve him up. But, you know, we're for sure going to get righties after Corbin, and we're not for sure getting pinch hits, but that seems like the most likely spot where guys will get pinch hit for. Conforto, Peterson. What do we do here as far as the Giants?
I don't mind them. I kind of like them. Looking at the lineup, it doesn't look like a super imposing lineup anymore. I thought it would, it felt better earlier in the day, but looking at it now, it's not that great. But Estrada's been good, and Wilmer Flores is just one of those guys. You just want to play him against a lefty and not a righty, so he's in there. But other than that, they are kind of weak, it looks like. So I don't know. I think maybe some one-offs are better than maybe a full-on stack, but who knows? With that being said, those guys, you haven't heard very, very much of their names. They're cheap, Who knows what's going to happen there? So I prefer one-off in these guys: Estrada, Flores, Davis, Slater, then Haniger, in that order. But I prefer the one-off over the stack of the Giants.
I'm curious to see what the bat's going to say as far as likelihood of pinch hit risk and all that kind of stuff, because certainly feels like the chances are there. Casey Schmidt, according to MLB.com, their prospect list, he's the 4th biggest prospect in San Fran, behind Kyle Harrison, Luciano McRae. Depends on where you're looking. I saw somebody in chat say he was a top 100 prospect. I don't see that, but maybe he is. It looks like he's got a bit of power as well. But all right, just worth noting. Bobby, your thoughts as far as San Fran is, just as far as rostering them? I'm just throwing my hands up in the air because I think you're going to be miserable when the bases are loaded and a righty comes in, and of course it's Jock Peterson or Conforto, and obviously you're not rostering those guys because they're not starting the game. What do we do with the Giants from an offensive perspective?
So it's interesting because they have a pretty healthy team total, but I did make a rule in lineup HQ and groups, at most 3, and then guys like Slater, who I think has significant pinch hit risk, David Villar, Casey Schmidt, that has him at 11% currently. Definitely a little bit worried. I don't want to play these 5-mans because I know Conforto, like you said, Wade, Peterson, they're all going to come in the second Corbin's out of there. So it's just mainly 3-mans.
If it's a 10-0 game in the 5th inning, like maybe they don't come in, just give them a full day off. And I guess that's when you want them anyway. That's when you want the full stack. I suppose you can look at it that way. But, the most likely scenario is it's going to be a closer game, and some situation will come up where you probably need at least one of them. But, yeah, I'm not aggressive enough when it comes to that stuff, but I'm curious to hear what the chat has to say, or what other people are going to do, or how the field's going to react. And obviously Slater, like you think he's leading off, he can homer in the first at bat, and whatever you get after that, so be it. He did his job, quote unquote, right? He's perfectly fine, and if he gets the hook, so be it. All right, let's talk about stacks in general. Before we do that, before we talk about stacks, do want to remind the people, if you're not aware, you should be aware at this point. It's been happening for a while now. Will, Chief Justice, you guys know him from the Prop Shop, the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Hang out in the Prop Shop. He's got his show 10:30 in the morning. You got the Take Your Pick'em show talking prize picks, underdog, and more, all sorts of, all the angles talking about as far as the bad lines. He wants to expose those bad lines. You got to get them early before they adjust. Right now, it's probably too late. You can still play on those sites. By all means, go for it, but they probably sharpened up. Will's going to help you guys out 10:30 in the morning, super, super early. Sometimes he will also have guests throughout the industry. It's on the RotoGrinders page. That's why you hit the like button. That's why you hit the subscribe. So in Will's show, the Take Your Pick'em show starts 10:30 in the morning. That leads into Blender's show, who may or may not be doing a show right now because I think he's going on vacation. I saw he was going to Alaska. So I don't know when that's happening, but maybe we still have that show going on at 11 o'clock. Blender, of course, digging into the results DB stuff, talking all sorts of strategy, next level strategy. It's a good show to listen to for sure. But all right, back to stacks tonight. Let's talk about Chopper. Give me your favorite stacks. I'll tell you our consensus rankings. They're Atlanta, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the White Sox, Milwaukee, and San Diego. So we're supposed to name 5, and only 6 got mentioned. So there's a lot of crossover. Atlanta, New York, that's the Yankees. Dodgers, White Sox, Milwaukee, San Diego. How do you feel about that, Chop? You agree with that? You have Atlanta up top as well? Is it clear cut for you?
Did you say Blender's going to Alaska?
Yeah.
What the hell is Blender going to do in Alaska, man?
He's going to hang out with Pinkman.
He can't survive Alaska, man.
He's going on a cruise. I guess I don't know if he's getting off the boat.
That's even worse. Jesus, I'd rather be stranded in Alaska than on a cruise these days. But
I could see you hating a cruise, Chop. That's like
it sounds like torture, man. Sounds like torture.
I got a free cruise, Chop. You want to come with me, or just go with your significant other, not me?
There are certain things in life you couldn't pay me to do, and people actually pay to do them, and you couldn't pay me to do it. And a cruise is one of them, and so. I don't know about all that, but Atlanta? Atlanta's okay. I mean, I'd probably be a little underweight on Atlanta compared to the field. Yeah, we're going to need Roth to step in here and see what's going on with this weather because I actually like the White Sox more than everybody as a stack, and I already mentioned I like Giolito, so I want to know what's going on with the weather. But I liked the White Sox more than anybody against Jordan Lyles, who's just really showing his age this year, and so. Then another one sneaking up for me is San Diego. I kind of like San Diego here in this matchup against Varland, who I don't think he was particularly good his first outing or this last outing here. He's okay. But no, I like San Diego. San Diego's starting to get healthy, man, and they're going to have a really potent lineup before it's all said and done. And so I wouldn't mind catching them here. I don't think they'll be particularly high on the Yankees. Yankees are okay. They're getting Judge back tonight, I believe, and that really helps that lineup. Just something in the middle there that kind of anchor it down, can't hurt. And so those are my favorite ones. San Fran, that lineup is a little iffy to me. They got a super high team total. I like that, but don't like the other. I forgot to mention this, Dean. I forgot to mention, speaking of New York / Boston, how's Bobby doing with the traffic down there now that the Bruins have got eliminated?
It's good. We got one more team left. We got the Celtics get the boot, and
do you sit down? Do you sit down with your wings and stuff and watch the game and just actively root against the Celtics?
I used to be big fans of all these teams, but then you start playing DFS, and I don't know. I don't feel much of a connection to the new Celtics for whatever reason. I'm a big Paul Pierce guy.
Paul Pierce, so you're ready to get the traffic thinned out, man. Get in these boys.
I'm ready. I don't care. I have no attachment to Tatum or Brown. They could be out. They play tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can push a button, though, you can push a button. You can say Philly moves on or Boston moves on.
Automatically push that button.
The Philly button. Philly moves on.
Philly moves on, yeah.
Don't you dislike Philly, though, as a Boston fan? Isn't that kind of like part of the gig?
I don't care about that.
He doesn't have any tribalism, Dean. He's not down with the tribalism, man.
No, I can respect that. Yeah, but I thought like as a rival, I know Boston and New York, but I thought Philly was
I care
also
about my pocket. If I'm making, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to, and being able to get to point A to point B. Like I literally live right like my street turns into Causeway Street, so it's as backed up as you can be. And then there's like a funeral parlor. It's just too much. It's tough.
But you knew that when you're going in, you knew going in, like, when people are going to be in this neighborhood, right? Like, that's
I grew up in the neighborhood, so I knew this my whole life. But it's gotten more congested recently. So,
Robert's asking about you mentioned Paul Pierce. How about Antoine Walker? Antoine Walker, that's an old school name for you.
Yeah,
I always loved his the
Tony
shimmy, the celebration shimmy. Tony Batiste. Now you're digging deep.
Vitaly Potapico. I can go with you.
There you go.
What about Dino Raja? Is that before your time?
Dino Raja was like when I was probably like 2 when he played for when he played for the Celtics. But yeah, I know
some old school. There you go, little Dino Raja for the people out there. Antoine Walker, Dana Barros, yeah, Philadelphia as well. He played for both, I believe, right? I think he played for Philly as well.
Did he? Dana, yeah.
All right, back on track, I suppose. Sure. We're here for the next 30 minutes or so. Whatever's in your mind, chat, by all means, fire it off. Join the conversation. Kind of that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. I saw TJ was hanging out in chat. I'm not sure if he'll be firing off any of his Spidey bombs. I don't know if Spidey gets a break or not. If he's at his 80 hours for the week or so, we don't want to overwork him. But I don't know if he dropped a hit the like button this many times. So if he is, he's not in the show later on, but sometimes he'll chime in and chat. We can throw out our own personal homers as well later on the show. Sure, why not? The Paul Pierce wheelchair situation. He spoke on that. I think he spoke on that.
People don't realize how good Pierce was. Like Pierce, early 2000s Pierce before social media. Pierce was unbelievable. Couldn't touch him.
Remember the argument of Pierce versus D Wade though? He kind of took the L on that one. Come on. Wasn't he
career-wise, but not as a player? Pierce has scored or assist on more game-winning baskets than anyone else in the history of the NBA. So yeah, Dwayne Wade has 3 championships, but Paul Pierce is like, if I needed a basket late, I'm taking Pierce over Wade.
Chopper. Well, I mean,
that's a legitimate stat.
But well, first of all, that stat is a weird stat. Like that seems like a strange one. I'm not saying it's wrong, but that's an odd stat to just have on the ready. Okay.
I have it on the ready because so many people hate Paul Pierce, and he was, I don't know. A lot of people he doesn't say the right stuff on telecast, but he could really ball at one point.
Did you cry when he got stabbed in the bar that night?
Oh,
no, but I know someone who was that knew guy did it. Is that bad to say?
Whoa.
No, not like that. Not like he went to high school with him or something.
By the way, Braden found a prop for you can bet under on Kirby walks, under 0.5 walks at plus 175 on the Fliff app. I don't know what that is, but if that's a real thing, I think that's pretty interesting because he doesn't walk anybody and he's got the best umpire behind home plate. So I think that's a pretty interesting bet. I have not done the math on it, but that seems pretty interesting. Just sort of throwing it out there. Yeah. And don't hate Pierce. Pierce was fine. I just think Wade was bad. I don't know how many game-winning passes Wade had or how many game-winning shots he had, but he had one of the greatest all-time NBA finals. I think that's kind of undisputable. Undisputable? Indisputable. But we shall get back on track and talk about the ICP was a part of that? That's not true. Are they just starting rumors in the chat, Bob? Are you reading the chat? Did you know somebody from the insane clown posse?
I think it was one of Dina's entourage that did it. Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's crazy because Kirkdiese was a juggalo back in the day.
Was he really?
Yes.
He's a big violent J guy.
Yeah, he had the makeup and everything, man.
More of a Shaggy 2 dope. All right. Chop, I asked you about your stacks, Bobby. Did I ask you about stacks? I think I did or I did not. If I did not, feel free.
You did not.
But tell me. My apologies. I got derailed. I saw ICP, and that's what happens in my brain.
So I like the Dodgers a good bit. Chris Taylor in the 4-hole. Think he's a really good play. Mookie. Freeman. No one's going to play Freeman, right? I don't mind some Dodgers. Will Smith. If I had to rank them, it'd probably be the Dodgers, then the Braves, Matt Olson, Acuna. Pavetta's very reverse splitsy. Braves have a bunch of righties. You'd also throw Harris in there. I like Michael Harris a little bit. Then the Yanks. Jake Bowers is hitting 6th for 2K. I think he hits a dinger tonight. Can I give a Spidey bomb? That's my Spidey bomb. Bowers for
Bowers?
2K for the Yankees. Yeah.
That's who I wrote up today as my sneaky homer in the survey. So that's funny you say that. Yeah.
Interesting. So are we playing Bowers? What are we doing? He does have 57% pinch hit risk within the bat, so that does worry me.
That's a big percentage. 57%.
Yeah, that's big. But we're if they blow them out, like, are they going to pull him?
I don't know. But I know he's a risk to some degree. But okay. Yeah, he's also super cheap, like cost per at bat, right? Maybe you get 3 at bats out of him and he gets the hook. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah. Probably more an MME guy. Like, he's not like the first lineup in guy. If you're only making one lineup, or you're making 8 lineups, or if you're making a stack of the Yankees, like, kind of makes everything else work. I like him before I like Hicks. I'll answer it that way. I'll play him before I play Hicks. How about that?
I'd play him over Hicks. Hicks hit his bomb last night, right? Like, I don't mind Bauer 6-hole right behind Bader.
Chop, you have a take as far as a sneaky homer call for the people? We don't have a fancy nickname for it or anything. Chop's family, and we got to do like a spin of like a Fast and the Too Fast, I've got nothing. Maybe the chat can help us out. We got to name your homer call. What's Vin Diesel's character name in the Toretto?
Dominic Toretto.
Dom.
Yeah.
You know what my first son's name is?
Dominic?
Dom.
Because it's Toretto?
Do you name your kid after the Fast and the Furious?
No, man. Who would do that? That's crazy stuff.
What was it, an homage to a family member or something like that? What inspired Dominic? You call him Dom or Dominic?
Dominic. But I mean, I call him Dom. He just uses a nickname, but it's just a hardcore name, Dean. I don't know what that, like, some names just like.
Does he drive a Dodge Charger?
He doesn't drive yet, but I doubt he's going to be a Charger guy. It's just a manly name. It's just like Dominic, whatever, So I went for it, Dean.
He's Dominic when he's in trouble.
What?
Is he Dominic when he's in trouble?
No, Dean. It's just Dom.
Is your other son Paul?
No, the other one is his name is Adrian, and I can't really. Maybe I was influenced by Adrian Peterson at the time. Maybe Adrian Beltre. So it's just a good hardcore name. You know what I mean? Like,
sticking on the movies. Like, were you in a Rocky? Yo, Adrian.
Rocky.
It could have been something like that, but no, it's I don't know, man. But yeah, Dom. That's. Maybe it was after Dominic Toretto. I don't know. What a great character, though. Sometimes you just get influenced by these things. It is what it is. I got my names right there, so I got to choose them, and then the girl came along, and I let my wife pick the girl name, so I was good with it.
There you go. Little compromise. 20 minutes until we get the crunch time crew coming in. We have Chris Kirkwood, a.k.a. allegedly a former Gigolo? Is that what
Juggalo, dude.
Gigolo's a totally different thing.
Yeah, although there's a chance, Kirkdiese. If you ever seen the DJ photos of Kirkdiese, he had some style back in the day. Maybe he was a gigolo and a juggalo.
You know what it was? I was still thinking about Magic Mike. I think is what was going on in my brain.
Were you? That's interesting, man.
I don't know. I mean, look, there's some deleted scenes, I'm sure. I would imagine. I don't know. Let's see if the chat. If you want to talk about certain players,
I got to give my bomb, Dean. My Spidey thing.
Yeah. What do you got?
I need a home run call. Wow, man. You know what? I had some in the White Sox game. I'm worried about that now. So I'll just go with one of these other guys, and I would go Marcell Ozuna.
Oh no, I know why.
Good BVP. Good BVP.
Oh, geez, Chopper.
Oh, is
really?
it? I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that.
You didn't see it? This is your whole brand.
Oh my gosh, 4 home runs in 20 at bats. Dean, do the math for me. What's 4 divided by 20 divided by 4?
Hold on a second. By 20. I need an abacus or something like that.
My goodness, but, I like that.
That means he's for sure going to homer Ozuna versus Pavetta. 4 homers and 20 at bats. He's got a single as well too, so 5 hits in total, 6 strikeouts. And you mentioned the Braves. Like, the Braves are on the slate. I'm playing the Braves pretty much every single time. Not necessarily my first lineup, but I think you're just supposed to always make a Braves stack. They're top 3 in any meaningful offensive category you can think of. WRC plus, ISO, slug, whatever category you want. They're in the top 3. They have the studs with Olsen and Acuna, and then they have some cheapies as well, namely guys like Ozuna. Harris is kind of cheap. Murphy, the catcher, has just been smashing baseballs this year. If you look at his advanced data, he's absolutely hammering it as far as barrels and just as far as exit velocity. He's expensive. He's certainly expensive, but I think it's worth paying up for it in the stack. Probably not your optimal play to pay that much for a catcher. And if you want to make the argument that Will Smith's a better play, by all means, go for it. But I love the Braves. I like the Yankees as well. Oakland has possibly the worst pitcher on the mound. This guy, obviously came back over from South Korea. He's not been very good. And we know Oakland's backed up. He's backed up by the worst bullpen in all of baseball by far. By whatever metric you want to look at, that Oakland bullpen is completely horrendous. So, yeah, the Yankees, justifiably so, super popular. Atlanta as well. The Dodger one's kind of tricky, Bobby. You mentioned Freeman and guys like Muncy, and I like the righty power here versus Lauer. I think I would play Freeman and Muncy in stacks only, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to play him as one-offs versus Lauer, just because they're expensive and doesn't mean they can't do it against Lauer. But that's sort of where I'm at. You mentioned the Dodgers, and I like the Dodgers, but I think I'm going to keep those guys to stacks only, and hopefully they get the weaker arms in that pen. Obviously, you're locked in for 9. Slight bump as well, jumping from LA to Milwaukee. We didn't mention the St. Louis Cub game, Bobby. Do we have thoughts of this game? It's happening.
The lefties, Bellinger, I think makes sense. It's just, isn't the wind blowing in currently 5 miles per hour or something?
I'm pulling up the weather edge. Yeah, yesterday it was better for pitching than it is today, but I think it's still pretty good from a pitching perspective. Arenado got scratched yesterday. He's back in the starting lineup. They gave him a neck. I assume he's better. 87 game sample, 26% hit as far as homers, 11% hit as far as runs, and 87 similar games played at Wrigley with similar weather. Like you said, 5 miles per hour, dead center coming in, 55 degrees as well. So not optimal hitting conditions. They did call up Christopher Morel. He is in the starting lineup today for Chicago. They stuck him in the 8th spot. I do like him on FanDuel where he's 2K. And sure, I guess you can play him on DK at 4K. Just he's not going to get played. But he's, we saw him last year. He's got some power. He's got some speed. Fun player. Absolutely crushing AAA as well. So I do think he's interesting, especially if you need a flat-out punt on FanDuel. You can do worse than Christopher Morel. Choppy, you have a take as far as the Cardinals and the Cubbies game? Because otherwise it's just pretty uneventful for me. I'm having a hard time. I'm more in the Cubs than the Cardinals just because Flaherty's been rough and he walks so many guys, and the Cubs have some power guys. There's some legit power on the Chicago side, even if the weather's not great for homers.
They do have some power, but I think both pitchers are just kind of middling, and I don't like the weather out there. I want to, if I'm playing a lineup or so and I'm trying to really nitpick on these guys in a big slate like this, it's, weather is a thing, and that's not great weather for hitting out there in Chicago. If you twisted my arm, I actually probably like the Cardinals a little bit more, just because when it's all said and done, they should have a really good offense, and I like some of the pieces in there. So I would probably lean the Cardinals. Maybe they snapped out of it last night. They've heard a lot of bad things going on. They've been badmouthed quite a bit lately for their rough start. So maybe they're snapping out of it, and when they do, they're going to be a really powerful offense. So I'd probably lean Cardinals, but I'm not particularly enthused with either one of them because the pitching is fair enough to where I don't know if it's going to get run over in this kind of weather. I think it should be contained. So these are one-offs here in this game. That's about it.
Matt
Still
Mervis,
waiting for – go ahead.
Matt Mervis, he's a prospect for the Cubs. He's 2.3K. He'd be another one of those one-offs. Just wanted to chime in.
I like that call. And Madrigal leading off is super cheap as well. There's some interesting pieces in that Chicago side if you need something to make stuff work, or maybe a little mini stack. I don't love the atmosphere, but Flaherty, we've seen him have some rough games for sure. We're still waiting for the Angels, the Astros, the Marlins, Washington, and Texas as far as lineups. If you don't want to wait for those lineups necessarily, if you don't want to even play straight up DFS, there's a different way where you can play fantasy. We talk about Stat Hero. Stat Hero, if you're not aware, it's a unique fantasy sports platform. You already know, though. You've been aware. You hear us talk about this all the time. You know it. You love it. Users are allowed to compete against a house instead of other players in a contest. The Searing 12 contest that they ran, that is over, but the Searing 15 contest for the NBA playoffs and the Searing 20 contest for MLB Pick'em, they are just getting started. Join this free to play contest and win. Start your streak up, keep your streak by playing every day. Build your streak and win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RotoGrinders Premium, and the cash prizes. What are the cash prizes? $10,000 first prize for the Searing 15 and $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20. Use the promo code GRINDERS, GRINDERS. That is the promo code. Again, GRINDERS. You get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Jump into the action today at Stat Hero. About 15 minutes till we get the crunch time coming in. Again, chat, by all means, fire off some questions. I do want to, it's just as your time. We've talked for an hour about this slate. Still plenty more we can dig into. Alex, I believe, is a boots on the ground in Chicago, saying Chicago is currently cold. It is. Antonio's talking about which Dodger, Will Smith or Betts. I like them both, but if you're just picking one, Chop, Betts or Will Smith? Who do you prefer amongst those two?
Probably Will Smith.
Really? Okay.
I mean, Betts is the low-hanging fruit. I mean, obviously, he's the more accomplished career player, but I'd go Will Smith tonight.
Bobby, Antonio wants to know about the Red Sox stack. We have not heard much about them, have not talked about the Red Sox very much. Taking on old man Charlie Morton. How do you feel about Boston? Now, separate your fandom if you can do that before you answer the question.
I can. So traditionally, Morton's been pretty good versus the Red Sox. In this situation, the Sox aren't striking out a ton. They pretty much bat on ball all season long. So it gives me skepticism. I don't think Morton has the ceiling that he's had in this matchup previously. I do think the Sox are in for a letdown at some point, though. So I think they're definitely overachieving a little bit as an offense in this lineup that they rolled out. I think it's who's in there, Devers, so just like the regular. Did Wong make it? Who's basically? Yeah, McGuire's batting.
McGuire.
Duran, yeah. I would prefer to attack this team with a lefty, but I think Morton can do enough to where, like, if they're going to be high owned, I'm going to be under the field in this scenario.
I like Casas. You're talking about as like a cheap power source, cheap first baseman. You mentioned Matt Mervis, which I agree with as well. I think Casas is certainly in play. The chat's give me the business here. They give me a hard time on my pronunciation. Chop, how would you pronounce the city where the Cubs play?
Chicago, Dean.
What did I say? Did I not say that? Did I not say Chicago?
I don't know.
What did I say?
I think Alex is saying you're saying it shy. Like, maybe you're saying it wrong. I don't know.
Well, it's called Chi-Town, right? Also, but it's Chicago? Chicago?
Chicago, Ace Ventura. Is
that what Ace Ventura called? That's a reference I would not have picked up on. I've seen Ace Ventura, but it's been a while. But okay. All right. You got to put the emphasis on the Ka. Chicago. The Windy City. That's an easier way of saying it, I suppose. But yeah, all right, fair enough. We've learned something today, I think. Maybe I'm still saying it wrong. I don't know. All right, let's play the stat game. You guys want to play the stat game? Let's do it. How about Chicago? How about those White Sox, Bobby? Let's just be in a world where it's a utopia and the weather is all good. Chicago and Kansas City, they're going to play. Roth gives it the all clear, or at least it's good enough where you can take your chances, right? Where do you have the Chicago stack? You like the stack, you love the stack, put a 5 on it. You hate the stack, it's a 1. Somewhere in the middle, kind of wishy-washy, you give it a 3. And then maybe there'll be some follow-up questions. What number would you put on the White Sox, Bobby?
I'd probably give it like a 3. It was showing up in optimals earlier today versus Jordan Lyles. For me, I just hate stacking this team. I never get it right. Gavin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn, Andrew Benintendi, I think those guys are fine. They're just a tough team for me to play for whatever reason. I'm never really in on the full White Sox stack.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I think there are pieces that are fine. And there's some cheap stuff too, like Gavin Sheets, like you mentioned, is really, really cheap. Benintendi, revenge game. Vaughn's kind of another cheap first baseman, maybe the cheap first baseman. But like, I'm not going to be playing if Elvis Andrus, and this is his day, then I'm in trouble. Or Zavala, I'm probably in trouble. But if you're stacking him up, I suppose you can throw the catcher in there. But Chop, your thoughts as far as the White Sox lineup? Because it's, if I have to throw this game out, I think I'm going to be okay with it.
I would say what I would rank this one, I would rank this a 4.1. Dean, I would say Chicago White Sox a 4.1. They would be higher for me if they had filled out the bottom of the order a little bit better. But I think I'm confined to the top 5 of this stack if I were to stack it, if this game did go off the board, because after Grandal, it's starting to look a little rough. So that lowers the overall score for me. I like to get some bottom of the order guys in there at lower ownership, and I just can't do it with some of these guys. Like Elvis Andrus projecting pretty well. I'm not playing, I don't play much Elvis Andrus in 2023, so it lowers it to about a 4.1 for me. But man, Jordan Lyles stinks, so I'll stack against him every time.
You mentioned after Grandal. I think Grandal stinks. Like, I can't play Grandal. He's dating back to last season, 375 at bats, Chop. 375 against righties.
I know.
His ISO is 81. 81.
He hasn't been good, but he does play. You can get him at the catcher position, so it's kind of a wash. I don't really typically want to pay up too much for catchers, and they're kind of iffy anyway, so I don't lose very much with Grandal. But he's a catcher who hits in the top 5 of an order, so that's the reason why I think he's okay.
Yeah, better this year for what it's worth. Not spectacular, but 159 ISO versus righties this year. Let's throw out. All right, so Derek wants to know about the Angels. I've not put a lot of thought in the Angels, and I don't really pick on Framber Valdez because I like guys in homers, and Valdez keeps the ball on the ground, so he does not yield many home runs. Chop, the Angels, 1 through 5?
They're very sneaky. This is a very sneaky stack tonight. If you can rattle him, if you can rattle Framber with an easy hitters umpire and whatever's going on, then you can get to him and nobody will play these guys. I'll say this much about LA. They have some guys in their lineup that you would want to play against left-handed pitching. And Framber is a big ground ball pitcher, but he will get he'll give up a lot of home runs in bunches, like one game, 2 or 3 home runs. So, and then he won't give up another one for 2 or 3 months. So, like, I could see it happening, And Dean, I don't want to mention this because I know you don't like it so much, but BVP, Taylor Ward has some good numbers against Framber. Anthony Rendon, who's actually starting to kind of resemble the guy that they signed a couple years ago. He's got some good numbers, and you've got a couple guys like Drury is overachieving this year, and so you can play him. Like it's sneaky, like that little $4.44 tournament on Fanduel where you got to beat out 500,000 other teams. Yeah, I don't mind taking a long shot like the Angels.
Did you put an official number on it? I don't know if I heard the number or not.
Oh, I got to rank it. It's in Anaheim. Boggs Light hasn't got me the Marine Layer report today, but I would say 3.6.
Okay, that's higher than I would go. Bobby?
I actually like them a little bit. Total, they opened at 3.8. Their implied team, they're up to 4.4 in terms of their implied team. So I like the Angels. I think they're sneaky. I think that's a good call by Chop. Renfroe, Trout, obviously Drury, Rendon. I think these guys hit lefties, so I don't mind them versus Framber. They're not my favorite, but they're definitely in the mix of them playing 150.
Bobby, how about the Mariners?
Yeah, so the Mariners, I think, are super interesting to like how this slate breaks down because I think you either wanted some Haney or you wanted some Mariners, and whatever side you're on in terms of like tournaments, I think that's going to be a big deal because I think the Mariners could blow them out. And I also think that Haney has the ceiling to where, like we've seen his strikeout stuff, it's great. He's very tough on lefties, but it's the righties that get him. With the EP, I'm still kind of working through it. My gut instinct was to play the Mariners bats tonight, so I'm going to stick with that. I'd probably give them a 4 as a ranking. They probably come fourth behind, like I said earlier, the Dodgers, Braves. I think it was San Fran and them, I guess.
By the way, Chop, you're being one up your BVP. In chat, David's giving us Grandal lifetime. I think that's lifetime versus the Royals. I don't know where you rank BVP versus lifetime versus the Royals, like what he did 12 years ago versus Dan Quisenberry. But, does that matter to you? Does he hate Kansas City for some reason? He has that Oklahoma Joes, and that gets him going?
Yeah, that's taking it a bit far. The BVP versus team lifetime. It's taking a bit far for me. So, but you know what, Dean? Grandal himself against Jordan Lyles, 25 at-bats, and the numbers look pretty darn good. I didn't want to mention that, Dean, but numbers don't look bad against Lyles
You
himself.
did want to mention it. If you didn't want to.
I wasn't going to, but then you roped me into this whole conversation.
What about Seattle, Chop?
A 3.9. Haney's not been bad, and he's got some good games, but we know he can be prone to a poor game, and I really like Julio. Ty France is okay. The lefty on lefty with Kalinick I don't much appreciate, but then you get to Suarez, Hernandez, and Pollock. Man, I really like that 4, 5, and 6.
Me too.
I like it. I give him a 3.9.
I lied, Bobby. My sneaky homer, and I don't know how sneaky it is, was Eugenio Suarez. I think my
is he sneaky though? I don't think he's that sneaky.
Yeah, it's sneaky. I used it really liberally, I suppose. I don't know if it's sneaky. It's 5% ownership according to our ownership right now, unless that's changed.
In terms of the context of the slate, it's sneaky, but we know he crushes lefties, right?
Yeah, it's how you imply that. It's always kind of tricky to answer those questions, and you're answering at 2:00 when you don't really know exactly where ownership's going to land and things like that. I wish the big dumper was in that lineup, though. Murphy is just not very good, and we see Raleigh come in and relieve him a lot. So, doesn't mean you can't play Murphy, but plan for him possibly getting the hook if the situation calls for it. We have Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth coming in momentarily. Going to let you know what's going on in that Chicago game, as well as Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood, 2-time millionaire winner. Additionally, we have former Juggalo, allegedly, Chris Kirkwood, will be joining the show. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do all those things. We do appreciate that. Let's see. A couple more of these offenses before we turn it over and yield. I'm happy to take one from the chat if you want to make a nomination. I saw people talking about the Brewers. And I think Stevie's bold call today was Terang's going to swipe 3 bags. Yeah, if he gets on, he's definitely going to swipe bags against Syndergaard. Sure, I don't mind him as a cheapie kind of buried in the lineup. Chop, you go for it as far as the Brewers against the form. We can't call him. He's not Thor anymore. I don't know what the diminished. The power arm of Syndergaard has been weakened. How do you feel about the Brew Crew tonight?
Like them a lot. I'm gonna say this one's gonna rank 4.4 because you get a lot of outs in this. You don't just have to hit home runs. You can steal some bases here, and that can rack them up. There's nothing better than having a stack and then all of a sudden you see the double steal. You get the double steal points, man. So I like this. We got at Milwaukee indoors. We don't have to worry about any kind of weather. It's a nice hitting environment. Yeah, I like the Brewers quite. I'm going 4.4 on this one.
Bobby?
I like the Brewers too. I think this is probably my favorite game stack on the slate. Dodgers Brewers. Bryce Terang, 3K, like Chop said, he could probably swipe a few bags. He's going to get on base because Syndergaard's terrible versus lefties. Tellez, Yelich, Winker. You can definitely play this team. Tyrone Taylor, who I like to play at the bottom of the order for 2,300. There's a bunch of guys. Adames. I don't mind this Milwaukee stack at all. Syndergaard's just not the same pitcher, right?
Yeah, he's not very good. And when you get on, you have a chance to swipe a bag. 9 stolen bases so far this year against Syndergaard. Last year, 30 stolen bases. The year before, well, I guess the last relevant season he actually pitched was 2019, 42. 42 stolen bases. Just one of the most vulnerable pitchers as far as yielding stolen bases. You can get to him multiple ways. Let's see. Let's fire off one more before I assume the Crunch Time team is knocking on the door. They'll be here momentarily. The Yankees, Bobby. Where do we have the Yankees? Because they're going to be popular.
I keep forgetting when you ask me who my favorite stacks are. I keep on hitting on the Yankees. Like the Yankees are the team that you're going to want to. They're going to be the most popular stack, I would imagine.
I think so.
I like the Dodgers, Braves ahead of them, and then probably the Yankees. I've given my order like 6 times and changed it 6 times, but yeah.
It's close.
Yeah, then then Milwaukee, and then the Mariners. I don't know. The EP Bill Miller kind of hurts my. Still trying to figure out this Mariners situation because I wanted to play them a bunch in tournaments tonight.
Yeah, Milwaukee also without Contreras. It's Caratini, so their catcher obviously weakened as well. He is cheaper for what it's worth. Caratini, I believe. I want to say he's 2K. Is he 2K on DK? Yeah, 2K on DK. So he's certainly useful if you want to flat out punt. If you're looking to punt to catcher in cash games, that's probably a good spot. He's probably not swiping a bag. I don't know if Victor Caratini has ever done that, but if he has, maybe tonight's the night. Daniel Vogelbach, my understanding, is yet to swipe a bag in his career. I still want to see Vogelbach swipe a bag versus Store. Who knows if we'll ever see that? That'll be fun. Chop, your thoughts as far as the Yankees? Obviously, everything encompassing too. Like include the fact that they're going to be popular and how much does that bump down your ranking 1 through 5, or just if you're just going to go all in, by all means. How do you feel about the Yankees?
Oh man, I'm going to give them a 3.9 based on all the peripherals here. The ownership and everything. I'm going to give them a 3.9. I think they will be popular. I don't know if they deserve it. I don't know what, Aaron Judge, question marks coming back to live pitching here in the big leagues after being hurt and all that. So I'm going to give them a 3. The thing about them is that you have some stolen base potential in this game with some of those guys. And Harrison Bader, like this is a weird, like the guy was an absolute nothing offensive player for his entire career in St. Louis. He puts on the pinstripes and he turns into Hideki Matsui, man. Like, I don't know what happened to him, but he's really good. So you got that going for you. They say Jake Bauers is good. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but so I give it a 3.9. I think it's going to be popular, but there's some upside to it.
Yeah, Bader was like a defensive replacement for St. Louis, if I remember correctly, right? Basically, like his stick wasn't spectacular. Bauer was on Cleveland for a cup of coffee, or at least a season or two. We haven't seen him for several years, though. All right, we have chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. We have Kirkwood. We have Dave Potts. Roth, how are you feeling better today? Hope you're feeling better. Your mic is not feeling better, though, unfortunately.
He
looks great.
Damn it. I was saying I'm feeling good. I'm back feeling good enough that I cracked open a Pacifico. We'll see. It's a bold choice. But I feel pretty good. The tummy's good.
Yeah.
I came in here and the first thing I heard is Hideki Matsui. So it's going to be a great day.
I like that.
Which immediately makes me think of the movie Knocked Up. Like one of the greatest lines in movie history is when Paul Rudd, like his wife thinks he's cheating on it and she walks in the secret room. She thinks it's an affair and he's having a fantasy baseball draft. He looks at it and goes, I got Matsui.
If you would have showed up earlier or listened earlier, we were talking about both Juggalos and Gigolos too. So you missed a lot, Dave. It was it's been a fun conversation, amongst other things. Kirkwood, you want to defend yourself? By the way, there's been some allegations thrown your way. Kirkwood, welcome to the show. Welcome to Crunch Time. Kirky,
thank you for having me. I'd like to thank the Lord and Savior first of all, Jesus Christ. But anyway, Juggalo, these rumors, these allegations are obviously false.
Why obviously?
Juggalo? What is a Juggalo? What is like one of those metal?
I didn't know what a Juggalo was either. I was trying to figure it out.
I wasn't a gigolo either. I would have been happy to be one, but just never.
The market and the demand.
Yeah, the supply was there, but the demand was missing.
No, there are fans of ICP, the Insane Clown Posse. I'm sure, Dave, on all your travels and all your concerts, you certainly opened up for him at one point.
I just now Googled Juggalo, and in fact, I thought I was going to be surprising you all when I said, apparently this is something called a fan of something called the Insane Clown Posse, which I've never heard of, and I now absolutely love. I probably did open for them. Didn't realize the name of the band, but fantastic.
I'm pretty sure your fan base and Juggalos and the ICP fan base probably did not cross paths.
Maybe.
But it will be a spectacular concert. I'm there for it, if nothing else. All right. Kirkwood, anything else before we step aside and make way for crunch time? You got anything for the boys here, Chopper? Bobby?
No, good luck, everyone.
The people want Ross analysis.
Oh yeah,
what's going on in Kansas City.
Before we leave, I need to know what Roth says about Kansas City. It's the most crucial game on the slate.
Stop. You're bullshitting me, right?
No, I'm serious, man.
Can't we just agree not to play it? Like, I don't know what's going to happen. If they want to wait till it's fully dry, I think it could be like 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern. And that's a long time. That's for fully dry. And if that's what they're going to do, it's a really long late start and maybe a postponement. So I don't really know what they're going to do, but it's not great. That's all I got for you.
Do you think we'll get a cleaner update in an hour or so, or it's basically the path is pretty obvious as far as what their options are?
I don't think there's a whole lot. They either decide to sit around and wait all night or they don't. Like, I don't think I'm going to have a much better idea. The fact that they haven't postponed it already makes me feel a little better about it. I'll tell you that. I kind of figured they might have done that 2 hours ago. So we'll see. Maybe things change. I'll, of course, let you know if there's any updates as the show goes on.
All right, myself, Chopper, Bobby, we do thank you for watching the first portion here of GrindersLive. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do stick around for the FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time. It starts now. Chief and Rebels, Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Excellent work there by the GrindersLive crew. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by FanDuel. It is the show where we get two of the sharpest minds in the biz, helping to work you through the slate. One, Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. Yeah, it's a pretty good slate. A little bit of everything. Cannot complain. We got Kirk here. I mean, can't beat that.
I know. I feel like this is my first Crunch Time with Kirkwood.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And not in years ago we did one.
Right. It's here in 2023.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. And excited to be here. But I got the Cardinals bat. I got the whole bat, all fired up here, so I could play
the whole bat. He's got the whole bat.
I've got it all. So I can say extreme pitcher, you're bad if you don't play this guy.
Yes. All someone needs to tell me
you just
who I need to play to not be bad at DFS for sure.
You're just bad at DFS. If you don't play if you don't play Daniel Vogelbach in cash, you're just bad at DFS.
That's good. This is good. You're going to need like a more hair product and some sort of hair routine.
Get a different shirt.
A few buttons down. Like open it up like that. Yeah. That's good.
Give the audience a taste, just a taste.
Yeah, just a little bit. Hey guys, let's talk about the weather. We've got really there's 3 games. Atlanta is a low chance of a late start or delay. Do we have pitchers in Atlanta, Cheese?
No, that's a hit-in game.
Then don't worry about it. I think if anything, it would be a late start, and the game's going to play regardless of what you hear in Atlanta about if they late start or not. So don't stress. Minnesota, I'm watching. I'm more and more convinced they're just going to play through some showers. And then the big game, apparently, as Chop mentioned, is Kansas City. And I just really, it's going to rain there for like 2 or 3 hours. It's not going to rain too heavy, but it's going to rain there for 2 or 3 hours. I don't know what they plan to do about that.
It certainly seems, I mean, we can say what they should do is just before the game, if they announce a late start, that should mean they're going to try to play it. Or if they're not going to, then they should postpone it. It doesn't mean that's what they're going to do.
Yes, agreed.
But it would be nice if they say late start, if that at least tells us.
I would love that. And even if we get to that point, it's still like, all right, if they announce a late start, you still have like, okay, now are they going to be patient and wait 3 freaking hours to play baseball, which hopefully they will. Like you said, if they announce a late start, it'd be a very good sign. More talks of a juggalo. Quick note. Do you guys know what a jugging is? Have you heard of a jugging? No.
Is that where the guy beats you over the head with a milk jug?
It's close, actually. Jeez, you're surprisingly close. This is something that happens in Houston. It's very common now where you go to an ATM and the people follow you home and then they beat you over the head, probably not with a milk jug, and they kill you and they take your money from the ATM. It's like if you go to an ATM here in my city,
prefer juggalos to
back on my juggalo days, I used to do a lot of jugging, but
yes. Yeah. I don't know how they're related or not. But anyways, if you ever go to an ATM in Houston, don't. Just don't.
I probably
follow.
Probably won't.
That sounds terrible. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
quite the city, honestly. Yeah, it's fun. Anywho, let's with that out of the way, let's dive into the slate a little bit. I will give another weather update here in, let's say, 30 minutes to see if anything changes. Maybe it will. But Cheese, in the meantime, let's talk about what we're doing here pitcher wise, or just the slate in general.
Yeah, we'll just jump right into the pitchers. There's enough pretty good pitchers that you could make a case for, I don't know, 10 guys. But personally, I have essentially a 5 pitcher pool on both sites. And that's it. And then I have like in like my 150 on it build, there's a couple other guys I have like 2-3% of. But essentially the pool is, and the guys I'm playing are also the chalk. Like I'm not doing anything sneaky with this. It's spend up for Ohtani. Upper mid tier with Kirby and Webb in good matchups, or cheap with Clark Schmidt, or really cheap with Brandon P. Fat.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What?
What was that word that you just said? Did you speak a different
Brandon
language?
the Juggalo Fat.
Yeah, former Juggalo. I'm just glad that Dave got to say the name first.
Yeah.
So really on FanDuel, Ohtani at 11-6 against the Astros he's still my favorite pitcher, but it's not like you've got to play him. I think Logan Webb is probably the most popular FanDuel pitcher, with Kirby and Schmidt and Ohtani all kind of tied. You really don't need all the salary you get with Brandon P. Fat. He's 5,800 on FanDuel. You can hardly spend that money even if you have it. So to me, he's more of a DK thing. Speaking of the DK side, it's a lot easier to get Ohtani. I'm also a little more willing to put in a couple of the other kind of random dart throws like Andrew Heaney, like Jesus Luzardo, and it would be Lucas Giolito if that Kansas City game looks like it might play. But otherwise, like 90% of my pool is the same 5 guys: Ohtani, Webb, Kirby, Schmidt, Pafat. And I think that's the same 5 that most everybody is going to be playing.
Okay, you're not getting cute, clever, creative anywhere.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you got 5,
because if it was just like 2 or 3, then they'd be 70% owned. There's 5 of them kind of spreading it out, so it's still not massive chalk with any of them.
Yeah, very good. All right, Kirkwood, what are your thoughts on pitcher here? And if you don't mind starting us off with a little FanDuel talk, I should add this show is sponsored by FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their fantastic bonus offer. New customers, you bet $5. That's not very much. You get $150 back in bonus bets. That is a lot. Make sure you're doing that. Terms and conditions do apply. Kirkwood, your thoughts on pitcher?
For FanDuel, I'll start there. I think it's basically just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that people are going to play, and then everyone else is going to come in very under-owned. I think it's going to be between Schmidt for the savings. Schmidt faces the A's. The A's are much worse against right-handed pitching. They do strike out a lot. They have a little bit of power, but I think if you just base them on their talent level, they should be at the bottom of the list. So at home, and then people, you got to see yesterday that Nestor Cortez got roughed up, but that was against a lefty. I think this is a good spot for him. The problem with him is the pitch count concerns. He just never has gone very long. He did get up to 97 pitches one game, but he had like 10 Ks in there, but he's got good numbers. He's got good strikeout numbers. He just, the pitch count is the concern. It's Webb, Kirby, Ohtani. They're all going to get pretty much the same ownership. So I think just basically take the ones you like the best. If I can fit Ohtani, obviously that's what I want. But, you get Kirby's got a better ump now, the extreme pitchers ump. And I think that matters for him. And I also think it severely matters for a guy who's just kind of on the outside there is Andrew Heaney, who we know has strikeout upside, but, comes with a lot of risk anytime you play him. He also loves to give up home runs. Again, is very wild and walks a lot of batters. But, this could be a good get-right spot for him. Seattle is underperforming offense by any metric you look at it, and they strike out a lot. I think they have a 24, or they're 4th in K percentage, at 28th in WRC plus. So I have interest in Heaney for GPPs. So he's kind of my guy on the outside there that I would play. And Giolito, I would like too if we can do it because of weather.
Yeah. Okay. And was that just FanDuel?
Yeah, over on DraftKings, it's kind of the same, except you get the two cheap guys. So, I mean, it's Webb, Kirby, Ohtani. Ohtani, if you can fit him. Kirby, I like. Webb has that safety against Washington. They do not strike out a lot, but, and anytime a pitcher is on his game, like Logan Webb does have strikeout ability. That's just not his bread and butter. So it could go very well for him. But, he's probably the safest of the whole bunch. But I'm playing one lineup tonight. On DraftKings, and I'm just going double dipping down at, I'm just getting all the bats with the two cheapies with Schmidt and P-Fat.
What are you going to release as you do that, Kevin? If he's playing two cheap pitchers.
The Hounds. He's going to release the Hounds, baby.
Hounds are coming out.
So I just saw this Rad Dad Fanny Pack says, if I play P-Fat and my two stacks, he's still left with 4K. Is that insane?
Yeah, and that's the reason, like, he's just not relevant on FanDuel because, like, you can't even use the money if you want to. Like, you just don't. And, yeah.
Can we have a quick combo about Morton? Jeff Morgan says, I'm going to play him. He's had one home game all year. He's going to be feeling it. He's a home pitcher. I'm throwing all the other analytics out of the window because that's all I care about.
That is what he's doing. And it's fine. It's fine to have him in the pool. I mean, like, he's kind of in that, like, where Giolito and like Luzardo would be like, sure, you're allowed to play him. Yeah. But you are throwing the analytics out the window. Like that's the correct way to say it. That's
a pretty hilarious. I don't know if he's kidding when he said that, but he's like, he's always been good at home. I'm throwing all the other analytics out the window.
Yeah. I mean,
I've got a quick little take on him too. He's a two pitch pitcher now with one really good pitch, his curveball, but he needs that fastball to be good, and it just has not been good. And he's playing the Red Sox, they just don't strike out a bunch. So I mean, it could go well, but I just don't see the need for it. I played him a couple starts ago when everyone was off him, and he had his best game. But
and to be nitpicky, he's had 2 home starts.
Okay.
I don't think that matters. He is at home.
And they both were great, actually. Wait, was that no?
One was great. One was fine.
Yeah, one against Miami. That was the time I played him. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some of the bats. Let's talk about the stacks in particular. And Kirkwood, as Cheese started us off with pitcher, I'd love it if you could start talking about the stacks. Is it spread out, kind of like the way it is with pitcher?
Yes and no. I think the two. I would like to throw it off Cheese, but I think the Yankees and the Braves are probably going to be the most popular. Is that you seen the same thing?
I agree. Yeah, Yankees and Braves. I think it would have been the White Sox in there with them, but it won't be now, even if that game looks like it's going to play.
And then you've got some other ones. I'll tell you who the bat likes from a team total perspective and versus Vegas. The difference, bat is much higher on the Padres against this Varland. It's kind of an underperforming young prospect, I believe. Correct, Cheese?
Yeah, like we don't know what to expect yet. I do like the Padres a pretty good bit as well. He's probably going to be a pretty good pitcher. We don't know if he's there yet.
It also likes the Twins. So I was thinking about playing them. The Dodgers, Eric Lauer, his velocity drop is just.
I love the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's down to like 90 miles, 80. He's down to like 89, 90 on his fastballs. And you're facing some big boys in the Dodgers. So I think that could be a good spot as well.
Okay. Cheese?
Agree. Probably the Yankees and Braves are, I don't even want to say chalk. They'll probably be the highest owned, but I think it's spread out-ish. I still think we'll see a fair amount of White Sox unless that game gets straight up postponed. And then I do like the Dodgers and the Brewers. I like the Mariners and the Giants. And I kind of like the Cubs as well. If there's a worst pitcher in the world right now, it's Jack Flaherty. I hope he gets there. But I don't know. That guy's got some problems.
Okay.
I'll tell you who set off the bat chat was Jack. People were really up in arms when it said to play Jack Flaherty in his last start, and he got like a minus 18 fantasy points or something.
You can't question the math, Kirk. The fantasy output is irrelevant.
Still the right play.
Math.
Still the right play.
Yes.
I'm not saying it wasn't the right play.
Oh man. All right. So I'm getting a few questions about weather here. Some people say, "Hey, can we get an update?" Or I just tuned in. Can I get an update on Sox and Giolito? I think it's going to play. I think it's going to play. I don't feel great about that at all. But the fact that they haven't postponed it already, honestly, is the main reason why I feel better about it. And kind of like Cheese said, honestly, if we don't hear about a postponement and instead we hear about a late start, that's a pretty damn good sign that they're planning on playing it. It's just kind of eroding just a tiny bit quicker than what models were showing. It's not risk-free, but I think it probably plays in the end. So
yeah, like the White Sox have some really well-priced bats against a really bad pitcher in that game. So it's pretty hard to just completely take it out of the pool if you're making a bunch of lineups.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, it's not the safe move. If you want a little bit of risk, especially in a GPP, then I'm not going to call you crazy for doing it. Okay, let's go position by position with that in mind. And Cheese, you can start us off with a little catcher talk.
So two of the teams that we mentioned liking also have probably the two best catchers on the slate with Will Smith and Sean Murphy. Love spending up at catcher, especially on FanDuel. Those guys are weirdly expensive compared to the first baseman. I still like them. If you want to go cheap on DK, which is always a quite viable option, Jose Trevino at 3K, Tom Murphy all the way at 2,100. Obviously, just any cheap catcher in a stack. And then Caratini's in there now for the Brewers, hitting 6th minimum salary. So I think you could punt just completely all the way down. Even in a cash game, you could play Caratini.
Okay. Cheese, I did get this random question on YouTube directed at you. So while we're here, I've heard multiple people today say that they aren't playing Dodgers 3-mans. Is it a bad idea to have 2- and 3-man Dodgers in a lineup, in your opinion?
I don't have any idea why anyone would be against that. I think that is almost the ideal build, personally.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Kirkwood, your thoughts at catcher? Anything you want to add there?
Same thing. It's Will Smith. It's Sean Murphy. It's Salvador Perez if that game plays potentially. MJ Melendez, you can also play at the catcher position. Cheap guy that kind of interests me is just going against Patrick Corbin would be Joey Bart. Probably a little bit of pinch hit risk for him. Other than that, I don't know. Ruiz is batting 3rd, but it's against Logan Webb. Yeah, catcher's not very exciting. You got the big boppers right up front for the most money. And then other than that, you just got to pick your favorite one that fits your stacks.
Okay. Well, you get to do first base. You get to lead us off. I'm sure there's some more exciting plays there.
First base. I'm not sure. I love Matt Olson. I love the Braves. The reason I love the Braves is I'm a Red Sox homer. I know I've watched enough Pivetta in my day to say that I'm done with Pivetta. He's just
That's
not
a tough
only
thing to watch if you're rooting for him.
I mean, and plus that came like when I used to play him. Remember, we were all trying to make him work for so long in DFS on the Phillies.
Yeah.
Anyways, he gives up power, right? And he also is incredibly easy to steal bases on. And it just he implodes. Like once somebody gets on and steals a bag on him, the wheels just start unraveling. Similar to another pitcher on the slate, Syndergaard, except that Pivetta gives up more power, and it's with Syndergaard, you're a little easier stolen base pass for some of those guys. But anyway, so that's perfect for the Braves, right? Like you got Acuna who can get there multiple ways because he gets on first, he's going, or if he's not, he's hitting a double or hitting a homer.
Yeah.
So. Like him, and I like down in the bottom of the order that they've got. I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, so Harris is back in play again today, batting 8th. I think he's going to be a sneaky play, not as sneaky as you can get playing the Braves, but in the 8-hole there. But power and speed upside. But Matt Olson, my favorite first baseman. Love him to homer. I think you can go with Freddie Freeman. I think the popular one is going to be Andrew Vaughn if. Everyone's watching you and seeing if they can play that game. Wilmer Flores, you can play at 1st or 3rd. He's cheap. He's everyone knows, it's you play him against a lefty, a home run lefty, especially in Corbin today. So that's a good spot. I think Anthony Rizzo is going to be pretty popular. And then let's not forget that it's Tortellini Tuesday. So Vinny P is certainly has to be on the list here.
Very good. Very well done.
There's no Moustakas on the slate, so
yeah,
we go Tortellini.
Tuesday. That's perfect. All right, Cheese, your thoughts first?
Yeah, Matt Olson is also far and away my favorite first baseman. On FanDuel, Rizzo is the guy who's way too cheap, along with all the other names that Kirk mentioned. Andrew Vaughn on DK, too cheap. I like Rowdy Tellez. I like Christian Walker. I like Joey Gallo. And a little bit of a Matt Mervis punt on DK as well.
Take me to second base. Man, it really, since second base sucks and catcher sucks, it's not fun to start with catcher because then you have to do both catcher and second. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Second, today is one of the more respectable second base days. Because like Gleyber Torres is a really good play on both sites, cheap on FanDuel. Mookie Betts is second base eligible on FanDuel, so that's two guys that I really like. Albies certainly in Brave stacks, but even on his own, I like quite a bit. Thairo Estrada, weirdly just fantastic. It's like this random guy that like nobody's ever heard of still, and he just keeps hitting home runs and stealing bases. You could punt down to like Bryce Terang is fine, but I do actually like those top guys pretty well to spend up on.
Very good.
Terang is going to steal a bag if he gets on against Syndergaard.
Yeah, so am I.
I mean, I'm going to try too. What the hell? Like,
Kirkwood, your thoughts a second?
It's the same. Although I'll add in, I'll throw Jake Cronenworth in there, who's been relatively disappointing so far this season, but I still believe that the power is still in there. Gleyber Torres, Ozzie Albies, Terang, maybe Polanco. I kind of like the Twins against Waka. Nolan Gorman against Tyon, who's capable. I mean, Gorman is a big home run threat every time he gets up there for the Cardinals, who's disappointed for sure, definitely. But at least he's the one guy who's been actually hitting bombs kind of the whole way. So I like that. But pretty much everyone that Dave just said.
Okay, real quick note on the weather here. Let's say we hear nothing before this first round of locks, but before the game starts, they postpone it. We've got pivot options back behind it, right?
Yeah, but there's 5 games that start at or after that. Okay. So really not a huge issue to swap. Actually, even I think 7 games. So yeah, you got plenty to swap to.
Okay, just wanted to make sure here. All right, take me to third base, Kirkwood.
All right. Okay, Manny Machado I like a lot. Starting to swing the bat a little bit better. Austin Riley is the preferred play for me if I can get to him, but he's a little pricey, $5,500. Devers. No one's going to play Devers against Morton, and he's one of the best hitters in baseball. So $5,800, he's tough to make work. But if you're playing one of these cheap guys and you're pounding in bats, Devers has to make the list. Max Muncy. These are all home run guys. Then for cheap, if you want to go, you still have some upside with some cheap guys here at this position. You got Wilmer Flores, who we've already mentioned, at first eligible as well. You got Chris Taylor, who's batting cleanup against Lauer, and you can play him at third or short. You got JD Davis, who's batting cleanup for $3,500 against Corbin, and probably less pinch hit risk than he's had recently. They've been leaving him out there, but there's going to be a lot of pinch hitters in that game. I would imagine once Corbin comes out, because they've got a bunch of lefties just standing there ready. But JD Davis I certainly like. And let me find someone off the wall. Oh, Eugenio Suarez against Haney. Haney gives up bombs. It's what he does when he's off. Suarez doesn't hit much, but when he does, he hits bombs. So he's $3,800, brings a lot of home run upside. So those are my guys.
Very good. Cheese, third.
Mostly the same names. Love, Riley, Devers, and Machado. I think they're kind of in a class of their own. And I agree with what Kirkwood said, that Devers will be the under-owned guy. He is the most expensive, but I like him the best. Chris Taylor playing more at shortstop, but like he's eligible all over the place, which is nice. I think JD Davis probably one of the more likely Giants to stay in the game. I'm a little more worried about Wilmer Flores, although they're both playable at those prices. That's really all that's particularly standing out to me.
Okay, very good. I want to get your takes on shortstop, but first it is being brought to my attention. We have almost no likes, which is insane because this is free content from two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Give us a like. That's all we ask. We're not telling you to pay for the show. We're just asking you to hit the thumbs up button for us. So make sure to hit that thumbs up, and we will keep the content rolling. We got like 700 people watching. So like
54 likes, I'll start giving Juggalo bombs.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think, producer Steve said 167 more likes. I will shotgun the next beer, which would be impressive as I'm drinking out of a bottle. I haven't figured that out yet.
Do you guys follow Steve on Twitter?
Yes, he's always tilting. It's hilarious.
Always. Isn't it great?
It's so funny. Did you see his, I think it was his New Year's resolution. He was like, I'm done tilting on Twitter. I've turned over a new leaf. It lasted like 4 days.
There's no better feeling when you're sitting on the other side of a game and you see him and you've got your other. It's just you just know
it's super entertaining. Yeah, he's a good Twitter follow just for the ranting. STL Cards as well. Now that he's so pissed off at his St. Louis squad right now. Okay. Anyways, Cheese, your thoughts at shortstop?
It's very different between the two sites because two of my favorite plays on the whole slate are different on each site. So Tatis, you can play at shortstop on Fanduel, Tatis. It's a lot of T's. And then Betts on DK. So those are my favorite guys on each site. Assuming the KC game goes, Bobby Witt is the other spend up. We also have the Thairo Estrada thing again. Willie Adames, I like a good bit. And then Chris Taylor, mentioned you can play him at third or short or the outfield. But play him somewhere.
Yeah. But short is the worst of the third short outfield positions, I would assume.
Yeah, you're probably not going to want him in the outfield. Short and third are actually kind of close, but I'm mostly playing him at short.
Yeah. All right. Take me to the outfield.
Me or Dave?
Oh, I don't know. Did I not?
Kirk, feel free to mention some shortstops if you want.
Sorry, my bad. What are your thoughts?
Just Volpe. Jack in the bag.
Add Volpe to the list.
Volpe.
Bobby Witt is amazing. I'm just going to throw that out there too because he's just doing. You got to love a guy if he grounds into a fielder's choice and he gets on and he's going to steal the bag for you, even though you have no points there. So he's gonna work for you, which is what we like. Xander Bogaerts would be the only other guy I really kind of like here that Dave didn't mention.
Okay, great. Take me to the outfield, Kirk.
You can play Tatis here. Austin Slater, massive pinch hit risk. 2,700 though is a good spot leading off against Corbin. Aaron Judge is back in our lives. Acuna is my favorite play out of everybody because of the power and speed potential in this game for him. Byron, there's so many. There's Byron Buxton. There's Mitch Haniger. There is Gavin Sheets if that game plays. There's I like Michael Harris. I mentioned him earlier. Just down at the bottom of the order that people don't like to play enough, but does bring up the homer and steal upside. Harrison Bader is good again. So you can play him. Christian Yelich, probably going to steal a bag if he gets on against Syndergaard. So I like that. I don't know. I'll let Dave start chiming in now.
Cheese, you want to add in some names for me?
Yeah. So the high end, he mentioned the names, is just fantastic. Tatis, Judge, Acuna. If I could just play those three in every lineup, I would do that. I can't, but that would be fantastic. Lewis Robert on FanDuel at 3K is kind of a standout. I like Teoscar Hernandez a lot. Also on the Michael Harris train, sort of that 3K range on FanDuel, the 4K range on DK. You also get like Kepler and Gallo in there. Cody Bellinger is on my list. There's like 40 outfielders on my list. But I think in almost every lineup, I have at least one of those big outfielders. include Julio Rodriguez, Buxton, and Betts in that list as well, with Tatis, Judge, Acuna.
Very good. Guys, I'm going to want some home run calls here in a second. But first, I will note, again, I think they're going to play in Kansas City. It's just going a little bit quicker. Everything's maybe 30 minutes to an hour quicker than what models were showing. And so that's a good sign. I don't know it's going to play there because you never know what they're going to do. And there's certainly still some risk, but I think they're going to play there. That's my official take. Yo, Cheese, me not knowing Andrews is still playing MLB, is that a bad thing?
It's kind of weird that he's only 34 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he came up young. He was like 19 or 20 or something. And I mean, the skills have been pretty bad the last 4 years, and yet he still steals almost 20 bases a year. He'll probably get there this year again. So no, it's not bad that you don't know that he's playing, but he will still steal the occasional base.
Yeah, that was me with Longoria. Like when you randomly brought his name up earlier this year, I was like, Longo's still
some of
in
these
it.
guys have been around so long, you just kind of forget about them. And then, they all have, been hurt here or there and missed a year. And then you think, oh, they must have retired and don't even realize they were hurt.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some QQs. Oh, I want some home run picks first. I don't actually, but the people do. Kirkwood, you want to drop me a couple home run picks? We're doing it for the likes. You guys hit the thumbs up. They'll give home run picks.
All right, the first Juggalo bomb of the day is going to be. I'm gonna not make it an easy one because I would say like Aaron. I just feel like Aaron Judge is a gimme. His first game back here against probably against that Oakland bullpen once it comes in. But I'm gonna go with Teoscar Hernandez. Haney gives up power bombs. If he gets a hold of one, he hits the ball hard. He's cheaper priced to play as well. Has some nice odds if you're betting with it as well. So that'll be my first one. And Acuna, I have to think that Acuna is going yard in this game against Pivetta.
Okay, very good. Cheese, you want to give me some home run picks?
I'll take all the Mariners, but I'll go a little sneaky AJ Pollock. All the obvious names are great play. We'll go Chris Taylor. So get cheap-ish DFS plays with the home runs.
Okay, very good. Let's take some QQs. We got about 10 minutes until lock. I am pulling up the RG Discord right now. That is where all the cool kids hang out. D. Montgomery says PFAT is pronounced fought. I think no. You're wrong, sir. We've been pronouncing. What was that, Kirkwood?
I don't know. I was trying to make like a weird fart noise, but I was laughing.
Oh man, no, we've nailed the pronunciation, but thank you for the assistance. FanDuel cash question, Cheese. I'm coming to you. Tatis and Jesus Sanchez or Adames and Super Nintendo.
So I would say right now, if it's close, don't play the guy in the Kansas City game.
I like that.
And it is close, so I would do Tatis Sanchez.
I like that thought. Your favorite FanDuel cash pitcher, is it Webb, Kirk?
Mine would be, I think he's the safest. So yeah, for cash, it'd be that, or just if you need the money for Schmidt, I have no problem with that either.
Okay, very good. Cheese, when a pitcher, I don't know if this is trolling or what. Cheese, when a pitcher is considered a safe cash play on a Nestor Cortez slate, does that mean he's going to labor through innings with no Ks until he gets babbipped around and pulled with next to no points?
I hope that's a trolling the bat question because I always favor that, but I don't know exactly what he's getting at. Other than sometimes baseball is frustrating.
Yeah, that we all agree there. FanDuel cash, Cheese. Kirby and Madrigal or Schmidt and Betts?
If Madrigal's really your only option there, I would go Schmidt and Betts.
Okay. Ball says DK Cash Kirkwood. Can I play both cheapies or is Kirby a must on DK?
For cash, I would probably go up and play Kirby, especially with the nice umpire there. Now,
okay,
there's a lot of risk with these with be fat,
Yeah, and the next question was very similar. So it was DK Cash, your favorite two pitchers in DK Cash.
Schmidt would be one with Kirby.
Yeah. All right.
If I could do Otani, if you can make a lineup that you feel comfortable with Otani, go roll that out.
Okay. Swervo says, Roth, if we hear of a delay in the Royals game, should we pivot? Absolutely not. If we hear of a delay in the Royals game, that's good. Like, that means that they're not just going to postpone it. So no, I would not postpone it. I would not pivot if they late start that game. Do I have to tell my wife I'm getting Juggalo bombs? I wouldn't tell her, man. Yeah, I'd keep that to yourself. Brandon Gobert. Brandon Gobert says DK Cash.
That's the guy who started COVID. Unbelievable.
He was single-handedly responsible for starting COVID. Yeah. DK Cash, Slater or Eddie Rosario, and does Slater have some pinch hit risk?
Yeah, Rosario for that reason.
Very good. All right. We need to know from Roth.
Says the bat.
What was
28%.
it?
The 28% is the pinch hit risk per the bat.
Okay. Robert G says we need to go from Roth. We need to know from Roth, is JJ Bidet going yard? He's not going once. He's going 2 times. It's a number 2 for JJ Bidet. Am I foolish for going Webb Valdez? Kirkwood, am I foolish for going Webb Valdez?
I think. I mean, no, they're all good pitchers. Like those are typical cash pitchers. Webb is a great play. Webb definitely not. Valdez maybe. He's just because it's doesn't. He's added a little strikeout upside, but his price is just kind of high. It's so like. I don't think that you need to go up to him. I think he's more of a tournament play.
Okay. Cheese, can we play some Frammer at low ownership?
You can. That's what Kirk was just talking about. Like, it's just a weird price, but I mean, you can absolutely always play Framber. Like, they're really. I could make the argument he's the best real life pitcher in baseball, and of course you can play him. It's just not. It's really not the ideal spot or salary, so he's kind of a leftover for me.
Okay, Cheese, I love this question. Does the terrible ump? I actually want both of your answers on this one. Does the terrible ump make you want to play Otani any less? Steve-O says, I think that I overrate ump influence.
So we've talked about this before on an Otani slate. Like, Otani is the type of pitcher where ump matters a little bit to me.
Yeah, his control isn't like
the way he throws his pitches, like if they don't swing at a lot of them, they are kind of just off the plate. Mm-hmm. So, and Houston is the kind of team that can lay off a lot of those. So yes, it does hurt him just a little bit for me. I mean, I'm still playing plenty, but yeah, it's relevant.
Kirkwood, is it something you look at and think about?
I always look at it, and I look on the type of pitcher it is too. So like a guy like Framber Valdez, who's like all about command and picking his spots. So I weight that more in like a game when he has somebody that would be that in that. And a little bit with like Otani, but the guys that really influence it for me are when like these young, inexperienced guys. So if you remember like Hunter Brown on the Astros, he had an extreme hitters the other day, and he couldn't deal with it, right? He just melted, right? And you get that a lot. So I and then there's guys who are like who can put the ball exactly where they want to put the ball no matter what. So I don't really weight it that high in that case.
Okay, very good. Robert G says, is it okay to run Ozuna in cash, Kirk? I
mean, no, because he's in a good spot. Like they've got a high implied team total. It's against Pivetta, a bad bullpen. So, but he's down in the bottom of the order. Has been struggling this season, but I mean, I've made worse plays certainly.
Okay. FanDuel GPP, Cheese, Heaney or Schmidt?
I mean, I prefer Schmidt. Heaney definitely for sure has more upside and far more risk. I prefer Schmidt, but I don't think you're crazy to take a few shots on Heaney.
DK Cash question, Kirkwood, is Haniger a pinch hit risk? You got the bats percentage right there for us?
I will pull it up. I'm going to say that he's going to be mild, but let's see here. Sorry. Gonna scroll. Haniger is it's more than mild. He's got No, he's got 0% pinch hit risk for Haniger.
No one's got 0%. Nothing is 0.
This is the same guy. Let me remind you guys.
Kevin.
This is the same guy who recommends Ranger Suarez the other day, who recommended Jack Flaherty.
Stop.
But in all seriousness, Haniger is the least likely of those righties. Like Slater will come out before him, probably Schmidt and VR, and maybe even Flores. So Haniger's really not the guy I would be worried about for pinch hitting.
Okay. A few more QQs. By the way, Steve-O watching the Royals pregame says, the grounds crew is literally just standing next to the tarp, just getting ready to roll it out. So any moment in the next 10 minutes, they're going to roll it out, and they're either going to say, this is a late start, which is what I think they're going to say, or they're going to say this is a postponed game. But if they were going to say that, they would just postpone the damn game now, I think, in my head. At least that's what they should do. They don't always do what they should do. FanDuel Cash, let's lightning round this. We got about 2 minutes until lock. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Robert, Rizzo, or Machado?
Rizzo.
A 3v3 for you, Kirk. JD Davis, Chisholm, and Flores, or Machado, Tatis, and Sanchez?
I don't even know what Sanchez he's talking about.
Sanchez. So it was
Jesus.
JD Davis. It's JD Davis, Chisholm, and Flores, or Machado, Tatis, and Jay Sanchez.
I mean, I would take Machado Tatis, but it seems like a little off salaries.
No. All right.
I don't know, Dave. If you know.
No, I mean I don't really like Flores or Sanchez unless they're part of a stack. But I would do the Machado Tatis side just to get Machado and Tatis.
Yeah. All right. DK GPP, Cheese, Luzardo, or Morton?
Luzardo.
DK Cash, Kirk, Will Smith, or Murphy?
Will Smith.
Chinatown says, as for JJ Bleday, that's actually how you pronounce it. The L is silent. It is bidet. I doubt that, but I hope so. Hey, Kirk, who has more pinch hit risk between Salter, Flores, or Davis?
That means Slater.
Slater.
Oh,
Slater's 28%. Flores is only showing 1%, which blows my mind. But so I may, or who was the last one?
JD Davis.
JD Davis 14%. So Slater the highest.
All right. One off, Kirk. You want Yoshida or Betts?
Betts.
There's things just flying down my staircase right now. I'm just hoping it's not children. Things are very loud. Let's see what we got here. Best. Oh, this is a great question. We might be able to end it here. Best under-owned DK stack. Your favorite low-owned DK stack. Cheese, you can go first.
Cubs.
Kirk?
Low-owned. I'm going to say, I think the Twins are pretty low-owned, right? They got to hit
I think
one
they
of these
count.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Twins.
Very good. Cheese, Pollock, or Kepler in a FanDuel GPP?
Like them both, I would go Pollock first.
Okay. Hey, we've hit the lock, and don't go anywhere because coming up almost immediately following the show, I believe we've got a golf show with Noto and our other golf geniuses. We have some of the best golfing brains in the business here at RotoGrinders, so stay tuned. Going to get some golf content to you very shortly because the one
I have a show idea while we're talking about that. I know they're coming on real quick. With Steve, at least, is listening to Devin. I think they should do a golf show while they're playing putt-putt. Like, just have Steve will follow them around the course with a camera. Yeah. I would watch.
I would like. Am I going to watch this show? Probably not, because I don't like golf. If they were on a putt-putt, would I watch it?
Yeah,
absolutely, I would.
Yeah, can I just add one thing? I want to see live video nightly of Steve tilting. Like instead of just just show us how you're set up, how you're watching it. If you're
in between putt-putt shots, you can flip the camera around to himself.
He probably has like a little iPad for where he's watching on his phone, baby crying.
Right, he's got a little baby, his wife. He's like, are you tilting in front of the wife? Are you trying to hide the tilt from the wife? Like, we want the details here.
Give us a glimpse.
That's why I tweeted, so no one hears any yelling. I vent the frustrations out on Twitter.
It's a good move. It's a good move. All right. We are going to bounce on out of here. Kirkwood, excellent working with you, man. Hopefully we'll get you back on for some more crunch times.
I think I'm on a couple more, one or two more. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. So we're going to get on out. For Cheese, for Kirkwood, for our wonderful production crew, always venting hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.